Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. We are in part one of Argentum's mini-series on non-dilutive funding. If you are by any chance going to be watching a recorded version of this, then you can feel free to subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss out on part two. So without further ado, what I will do is today I will present an overview of European funding programs. So as you can see here, we're going to discuss Horizon Europe programs, PrimaMed, EIT, European Space Agency, and Eureka programs. So Horizon Europe may be the best funded mechanism, but contrary to popular belief, it's not the only European funding body. There are several programs at European funding level with generous grants, and I'll briefly touch upon each one of them and their structure. But the first one we're going to do today is Horizon Europe. So here you have the structure of Horizon Europe. The European Commission's interest here is to boost Europe's scientific leadership, to encourage breakthrough innovation, to expand international cooperation, and to form new partnerships in research, innovation, and industry. The grants here range from several €100,000 up to €4 million. Horizon Europe covers the years 2021 to 2027. It was previously known as Horizon 2020. You'll see it as H2020. Eligible countries are EU countries and associated countries. Now onto the structure. So as you can see here, there are three pillars. The first pillar on the left is excellence in science. That is for research only. Then you have the second pillar in the middle, the global challenges, divided into 6 clusters or 6 topics that the European Commission has identified. Each cluster has dozens of grants on specific subjects that require a consortium or a collaborative project. So, for example, cluster 1 is in health, cluster 4, digital industry space, cluster 5, climate, energy, and mobility, cluster 6, food, bioeconomy, natural resources, agriculture, and environment. Just as a side note, at Argentum here, we're structured internally to mimic these clusters, and it does allow us to specialize in these fields. The third pillar is Innovative Europe. So under this pillar, there are 3 tracks under the heading of European Innovative Council, EIC. The first one is the EIC Pathfinder. This is for radically new technology to get you from the idea stage to the POC stage. The next grant is EIC Transition. This bridges between the Pathfinder grant that I mentioned and the next grant, the Accelerator, which I'll get to, hence the name Transition. The applications must be built on results either from Pathfinder, FET Open, or an ERC grant. And last but definitely not least is the EIC Accelerator to get you from product to market adoption. This is probably the most well-known grant, up to €2.5 million for R&D activity and up to €15 million of equity investment. As you saw, each of these grants support the different stages of the product developments. The EIC has several grant deadlines throughout the year, and the global challenges, which is the second pillar, those deadlines kind of come in waves according to their cluster. So that's it on Horizon Europe. The next European funding program I'm going to talk about is PrimaMed. PrimaMed stands for Mediterranean Area. This is a grant which focuses on 4 thematic areas: water management, farming systems, agri-food value chain, water, energy, food, ecosystem nexus. Now, there's an interesting number of participating countries here because it does require a consortium of at least 3 different entities from 3 different countries. So we've got Croatia, Cyprus, France, Germany, Greece, Italy, Luxembourg, Malta, Portugal, Spain, Slovenia, Algeria, Egypt, Israel, Jordan, Lebanon, Morocco, Tunisia, and Turkey. There is usually 1 deadline per year for this grant. And the budget is around 8.2 million euros per area. That was that for the PrimaMed. Next is the EIT, European Institute of Innovation and Technology. So entry into the EIT club can be done via participation in these types of calls. The EIT is an independent body of the European Union. It was set up in 2008 to deliver innovation across Europe. So it's not only an innovation hub. This program has generous grants for projects aimed at funding R&D activity and also has loans to connect startups to investors. The EIT brings together leading business, education, and research organizations to form partnerships. These are called knowledge and innovation communities. And each is dedicated to finding solutions to a specific global challenge. So similar to Horizon Europe, where it has its clusters, the EIT has communities. The communities are climate, digital, food, health, energy, manufacturing, raw material, and urban mobility. Each community publishes calls for proposals throughout the year, and there are also several reoccurring calls in several communities, such as food, manufacturing, and more. The next European program we're going to talk about is ESA, European Space Agency. It uses the same TRL, technology readiness level scale as NASA, and it is for advanced space assets and technology or projects that use these assets to boost businesses. So at the bottom, you'll see 5 of those round circles: space flight technologies, satellite communication, satellite Earth observation, and more. These assets are to be used as tools for companies wanting to further develop their technologies and their business. And there are 2 categories of calls. There are direct negotiations, so it's an open call to all fields. That's the one on the left. The budget ranges from 500,000 euros up to 2 million euros. And then on the right hand, you see the tenders. These are sector-oriented with funding up to 200,000 euros, and it's split into 3. There is connected agriculture. So, for example, a company that wants to use the Earth observation asset in the farming industry. The second one is green construction. The third is sustainable micromobility. For example, using satellite communication to improve urban mobility. And the next European funding program that I'm going to talk about, which is actually the last one here for today, is Eureka programs. Eureka is a network for international cooperation in R&D and innovation, spanning over 45 countries. I would describe this program as intergovernmental. It's a European program, but the funding comes via each country's national funding authority. So if, for example, there is a project funded under Eureka, and there are 2 partners. There is a UK company and an Israeli company. The UK company will receive their funding from Innovate UK. The Israeli company will receive their funding from Israel Innovation Authority. In 2022, last year, there were 284 projects awarded funding. And under this Eureka umbrella, there are 3 directions. There's Eurostars, which is the flagship program of Eureka, open to all fields. There were 214 projects funded in 2022, and the average project cost was 1.5 million euros. The next is network projects. So these are bilateral calls between specific countries, also open to most fields of technology. And there were 39 projects funded in 2022. And the third direction are the clusters. So these are thematic with 53 projects funded in 2022. The first cluster is Celtic Next for next generation communications. This is supports information and communications technology projects and champions a secure digital society. The second cluster is Eurogia for low carbon technologies. It boosts productivity, competitiveness, and environmental sensitivity for projects wanting to develop clean, energy efficient technologies and low carbon solutions for energy generation, distribution, and storage. The third cluster is ITEA for software innovation, enabling software innovation projects in the smart mobility, smart cities, energy, healthcare, manufacturing, engineering, safety, and security sectors. SMART for advanced manufacturing. Projects support the adoption, integration, and upskilling of advanced and discrete manufacturing technologies. And the last cluster here is XX for electronic components and systems, accelerating the pace of sustainable innovation along the whole electronics components and systems value chain. So those are what I've mentioned above. The programs are only some of the EU grants that we target. The next part of this webinar series, part 2 in 2 weeks, my colleague Lee will talk about national incentives. I mean that governments pay to participate in Horizon Europe and naturally want to see their country's companies submitting grant applications, so they provide incentives and support. So Lee will expand on this. What I did want to mention is that it's important when it comes to submitting a proposal that there is R&D, that there's innovation, and that the concept aligns with the granting authority's objectives. And when the evaluators receive your application, they'll be looking at excellence, technological solution you're presenting, the impact, commercial, environmental, as well as the implementation. So the work plan that you've set out to make this project successful. You have met Argentum before. If you haven't, I'd be happy to meet with you. We are a company that specializes in securing non-dilutive funding for your R&D activity with a focus on European funding. We are about 30 people in 3 departments. We're a consulting department, strategy department, and business development. And what I would like to briefly mention here is our approach to funding. We have what's called a multi-submission strategy, where we work with you for a period of 12 months. And during these 12 months, apply to multiple funding opportunities. So some of these European programs that I mentioned would be included in our work together for the year. So I'm happy to meet with you to review which tracks and which program align with your activity. Later today or tomorrow, you'll receive an email from us at Argentum with a link to schedule a meeting with me, and I'd be happy to discuss the details with you. And that really is all that I have prepared to share with you today. So I wanted to thank you again for your time, and I look forward to speaking with you perhaps tomorrow, next week. And if you did miss out on the beginning of this, or you were unable to stay on board, then I'll also send you a recording of this. So thank you again, and enjoy the rest of your day.